That's very, very rare, and that was not what I was expecting. I was like, no, that won't happen to me. So she ended up able to help him turn and get him in a better position. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're in a great day, great night. My name is Brianna, and today I'm going to be going over our little Caspian Webster's, his little birth story. I'm really excited for this video and just how it went. So before we get into the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and do the bell notification. Mom life definitely got me a little trying to remember everything, especially not filming for a bit for various reasons. We'll see how long he lasts. I do think he'll be waking up soon to eat, so we will see how long we get into that. But yeah. So to start out, so this has been, he's about a week, oh, he's almost 2 weeks old. So it was the 7th, well, I'll back up a little bit. His due date was March 8th, and we didn't tell anyone that. We kind of just kept it between us. I didn't want people bothering us, and so we just said March, and that's what people knew. And the Tuesday evening, so the 7th, I was about to go to, I got to bed a little bit later. Logan went to sleep. It took me a little bit longer, and I was kind of in and out of sleep. It was like just before midnight, and I was kind of drifting, and I was mostly asleep. I was laying in bed, and suddenly I felt something, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I jumped out of bed and tried to get to the bathroom, and didn't quite make it. My underwear was kind of soaked. And I was like, my water just broke. And I'd heard, well, I wasn't totally for sure at that second. I was like, I'm pretty sure that didn't feel like I peed my pants, because I've heard that with a lot of people. But I was also just like, well, your water usually doesn't break first. That's very, very rare. And that was not what I was expecting. I was like, no, that won't happen to me. It was not even at like the back of my mind that I would be one of those. So kind of just decided to go out. Decided even if this isn't, I'll just kind of like mentally prepare, maybe try to get him into the right position. So went out into our living room, and I started, I got like we had shower curtains, I got from the dollar store, put those out, and then just got on the yoga ball, put a towel over it, and just started going. And fluid just kept coming in, so I was like, well, I guess my water broke. So I knew I wanted to labor kind of by myself for the first little bit, and that was kind of always the plan. I didn't want my midwife there every single second, just like prepping at first, and be able to just kind of have that time. And I know especially for first time moms, things are pretty slow at first. So I was like, I'm not going to rush it, but I did want to give my midwife a heads up so she kind of knew that things were happening. So texted her, said probably you're asleep, because she told me text for different stuff, if it's late at night and stuff, but don't, like, she wouldn't call, I wouldn't call her because I would wake her up, but text wouldn't. So I just said, I'm pretty sure I'm awake or asleep, but just wanted to let you know I'm pretty sure my water just broke, blah blah blah, and I don't know what else I said. And surprisingly I got a text back, and that was because she was currently at a different birth. And she's like, this was already the second one that week, and we're only at Tuesday night. And so I was like, crap. I'm like, I hope it doesn't suddenly go quick, but knowing like first time moms, like we weren't too worried with that. So she just said, drink plenty of water, it'll keep making fluid and stuff, and you'll be fine, and then take like a natural antibiotic, and you should be fine. So I started taking colloidal silver, drinking a whole lot of water, and I was having like kind of light cramping contractions, nothing very big. And so I decided after a little bit of like, it probably was only like an hour, I was gonna go back to bed. So went back to bed, and I went to sleep, and I was having again light contractions, and nothing too big. I would wake up through them enough to like feel them, and I would just kind of like rub my hip, and then they were fine. And so again, it wasn't anything too big or too crazy. And then about 4 o'clock, Logan woke up for work. And that was the moment I was like, I probably should tell him. So told him, and he's like, what? And at this point, again, we don't know how long it's going to be, but he stays home from work. And so I just kind of we both went back to sleep and just kind of let the contractions, again, they were light, happen. So morning comes, get up, and they hadn't really picked up that much. So I started working. I work from home, and just kind of went about the day as if it was just a normal day. My contractions actually slowed down and stalled, and there was hardly anything all day. So I was really disappointed in that, and I was like, well, Logan could have gone to work. Like, nothing had happened all day, and it wasn't like crazy. So he had to go, like, the time came when he needed to go to school. And I was like, babe, like, just go. I felt bad that he'd been home all day and nothing had happened. I'm like, if you go, it's just gonna happen that I will start going into labor and it will start happening. You know that what happens. Like, you plan stuff and then you do something that, whatever, and then things happen. So he ended up going up to school after I insisted. I'm like, I'm fine. I haven't had real contractions all day. And it was fine. So 7 p.m. rolls around and I start getting the contractions. Oh, buddy. The contractions start to happen just like I thought. And they weren't too bad, and they were probably, I think they were first about 15 minutes apart. So they were really, really far apart. Call Logan. I'm like, hey, this is happening a little bit more. Just be aware. And I started updating him. Another thing with my midwife, she just said to keep her updated because she'd been up all night with that previous birth. And she needed some rest, and she had some different appointments that day and all that. So I started just updating her with how often, and they went from the 15 minutes to 13, 11. They got really close together really, really quick. And so me and Logan are both like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Whatever the baby before the midwife happens, or the baby before the midwife gets here. And my midwife is smart. Her and her assistant, they're smart. And they knew that it probably was not likely. And so they were kind of just calm and getting here and everything. So my midwife ended up sending down her assistant first so she could get a little more rest, so she would be rested for everything. And so by the time the assistant got down there, my contractions were almost back to back and just happening really, really quick. And I wasn't really getting a break because I first was on the yoga ball and in the bathtub and trying different things. And it wasn't really helping with relief. And it wasn't until I was sitting down, leaning against the couch that it helped. Don't ask me why. But that's kind of what was finding. I found some relief. I can't remember where I was at when the assistant arrived. Either I was in the bathroom or I might have still been in the living room. I'd been in the bathtub, and was just kind of doing them there, having the contractions sit there. So she came in and she was like, hey, do you want to be checked? And I was like, sure, because I was like, this is happening. I was for sure that it was he was close and everything. And so she checked me, and I was an 8, and she's like, well, you could start pushing, and then just see. And I known from enough of my research, and not research is the right word, but hearing a lot of other people's stories, that 8, you really could start pushing and all that, and baby's ready. And so I don't even know if she said that. That was kind of a blur, but I remember just thinking, well, I might as well try. And actually pushing brought some relief. And then my contractions weren't as back-to-back. I was having a break in between, which brought a lot of relief. So we were just on the bed and just kind of going through all that. And my midwife showed up a little while later. I don't really remember what time exactly that she did show up. And from that point, her and her assistant, they were trying some different stuff, some different tinctures, different things that could help with the labor. Honestly, don't even remember what they were. I was so focused on what I was doing and trying to focus on my breathing and all that, that I was like, sure, give me what you got, and it helped like make things smoother and easier. And so I was doing that. I think also at one point they gave me like a popsicle, just try to have something to eat. But then just kind of helped things kind of go a little faster. I guess not faster, but just trying to get things moving a little more. We ended up going in onto the toilet and laboring on there. And we're not really sure where it happened, but he started coming out or presenting ear first, which is not preferable or much doable. So sometime on there, that started happening, so it kind of made things a little more tricky. But also when we were on the toilet and stuff, I was kind of getting tired. Like, I tried to get like a nap throughout the day, but it really didn't happen that much. And even, like in the evening I tried, and again, like I would wake up to like the contraction. The contraction seemed to hit when I was like napping. And I think that's what I was doing, before they actually started getting bad again. So, so when we were on the toilet, I was just kind of getting kind of exhausted, and I think just like the upright position or whatever, I don't really know, but I was forgetting to breathe, which was making his oxygen, he wasn't getting quite enough. So they ended up, we almost went to the hospital just because we weren't sure what was going on. But my midwife, she got some oxygen, got me hooked up on it, and then I was being focused on actually making sure I was like breathing enough and taking really deep breaths. And within like 2 minutes, he was totally fine and everything was good. So we weren't really worried about that. And we weren't worried about him. Like, his heart rate was like really good. He never seemed to be in distress. That was like the only moment where we were contemplating, well, what should we do? So after that, I was like, hey, I just want to move back to the bed. Like, I need to be laying down. I couldn't do what we were doing. So I came back to the bed and was laboring, like laying down. And then after a bit, my midwife, I think that's when she realized how he was presenting. Honestly, I don't even know when she noticed it. I was so focused on what I was doing and trying to focus on labor that I really had like blocked out a lot. So there's things that Logan would like told me later, and I'm like, I don't remember that ever being said. Or any of that. But he was such a good coach and just making sure I was encouraged and helping me through everything. So, they ended up having me get up and kind of just like doing a really low squat, and then I'd cross my hands and Logan was standing up and helping me, stay standing up. So my midwife ended up having to kind of turn him, and we got him turned and everything. And kept pushing, and it seemed like it was taking forever. I think what we ended up saying was I was only pushing at a 10. I don't even know when I was at a 10 again. When that happened, like the time really flew by. I didn't realize how long things had been happening or any of that. And so she ended up able to help him turn and get him in a better position. And all that. So working all that, kind of doing the low squats and pushing, and doing that for a bit. And then I just remember there being like, oh, he'd be close. And then he like be like 2 more pushes and nothing would happen. And I was getting really frustrated. I was like, come on, you keep telling me he's close and he's not. And me and my brain was just like starting to get irritated because I'm like, no, this is like your parents telling you like, maybe this will happen. But I knew he had to be close because I had been pushing for quite a bit. So kept kind of working on that. I was really tired. Again, I hadn't slept much in the last couple days. And just kind of was laboring through the night. But the midwives, Logan, everyone was super encouraging, and it kept me like going. Logan was amazing at helping through the whole process, and really helping me stay like positive. And encouraging that I could do all this. So, this all happened, and then, almost 6 o'clock, he decided to start popping out. And once they said his head's out, I was like, I don't even care. Like, I didn't even know we were that close. And I just pushed. I think it was like 3 or 4 pushes to get his whole body out, but it was like one solid contraction, and I just totally just pushed him out, which was cool. And it was good that he was out, but I did rip quite a bit. But when he came out, just because he had been presenting weird for a bit, his head came out quite swollen and kind of misshapen, and so it was kind of really long. But he just kind of fell out onto the bed, and then I was just able to lean back and then pick him up, and then I just started crying. I was just like, Logan, we did it. And just like so happy and excited, and just be able to look at his perfect little face. And it was just awesome. So from that, we were able to do the delayed cord clamping, and I was able to just have time to bond while the midwives were cleaning things up. Logan ended up going and taking a nap. He was exhausted. He'd been through the night with me the whole entire time, had been standing up helping, and he just mentally just needed to just rest. So he went and rested a little bit. And it was totally fine because I knew, like, it was things, we were just kind of sitting there not doing a whole lot. I was able to nurse him, and just really have that bonding time, and just be able to look at him and his perfect little face. I think just because how his head was, his face wasn't swollen at all, which was something that was kind of surprising to me. But it was also awesome. Just see his perfect little face and all that. So after that, they kind of got me all cleaned up. He was born at 5:56 a.m. So it took a little while, definitely like a long labor, but again, I wasn't in active labor the whole entire time. And it was kind of stalled for a lot of it. So I'd probably only say I labored for 11 hours. From 7 a.m. to, it was almost 6 when he was born. Ended up taking a while to get all cleaned up. I was really I was fine, but I was also just super, super exhausted. I just wanted to go to bed, but kind of getting everything cleaned up, and stitches. I ended up tearing 4 tears, 2 degrees and 2 1 degrees. And so to get me all stitched up and cleaned up, they ended up not leaving until I think like 2 p.m. But I was able to get some like actual solid food down, because through labor, like I'd been eating like throughout the day, but once I was kind of in active labor, I really was just super exhausted, and I ate a lot of popsicles. A lot of like, oh, what are they kind, but the real fruit popsicles. So I had a lot of those, which really helped, and was drinking a lot of water. But my first meal was bagels with cheese and eggs, and I eat that like every day, but I didn't tell you, it never tasted so good. So it got me all stitched up, and then after that, we were able to just have a nap as a family, which was awesome because I just wanted him there. It was just a really special moment, to be able just to rest and have him, with us and all that, and he was all good. He weighed 9 pounds, exactly, so big baby, but I was expecting that. There's pretty big babies in my family. And Logan was the biggest on his side, or of his siblings, so I was expecting a pretty big baby. So I wasn't surprised at all, and I knew that I could do it, and I always felt that peace and everything would be good. So yeah, I think that's about it. That's his birth story. Our little Caspian, our little perfect little guy. He sleeps all the time. He's great, and we just love having him with us, and I'm so excited for everything that will happen. And he surprisingly slept through this, which doesn't surprise me. He loves to sleep, but it is about his feeding time, so that's what I was surprised about, for that. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Hopefully I can start getting into more of a consistent routine, slowly trying to get used to the whole momhood and all of that jazz. But yeah, here's our little Caspian Webster, and there'll be a lot more of him and his cuteness coming forward. Right, guy? Right, little man? But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, great night. God bless.